Please, God. Hello? You going to work today? To my shock and your horror, I have returned once again to talk about True Blood. Yes, I know. You've been waiting, I know. Okay. Yeah. Anyway. This was infinitely more annoying than season 1. Because season 2 is split into 2 plot lines. I've helpfully labeled them for you. You're welcome. Plot A is who the fuck is Maryann, because we're focusing on Maryann. And plot B is where the fuck is Godric. Well, who's Godric? Shut up and listen and I'll tell you. Okay? So, the easiest way to do this is to do the A plot and the B plot of each episode instead of jumping back and forth, because this show loves to jump on my fucking last nerve like trampoline. So we're just going to give you the complete A plot first and then the complete B plot of the episode. Does that make sense? It should make sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Episode 1 picks up with Tara and Sookie and Belfleur finding the body in Andy's car. If you remember the end of season 1, Andy was drunk and leaving the bar, and Tara and Sookie were trying to stop him, and he opened his car and there was a dead body in it. They pull back the sheet that's over the body and it's Miss Jeanette. There's another killer on the loose, babes. It's not good. The police arrive and Tara has to tell her mom that Miss Jeanette was a fake, and obviously she's not taking that super well. Bill is laying out the ground rules for Jessica, because if you remember, Eric brought her back. He was like, this bitch is annoying and I'm not keeping her. And Sookie finds out about Jessica and is mad at him because he had to be forced to tell her the truth, which, bitch, if he's lying about a kid, what the fuck else is he lying about? Sam visits Maryann, because if you remember, at the end of season 1, she was like, you thought you could hide, little dog, or whatever the fuck she said. And we figure out how they know each other. Apparently, when Sam was a kid, he was about 17, I think, he got into Maryann's house and was trying to steal something, and she caught him, and then they had sex.
How you doing? All right, how are you? Have a seat over in that chair, please.
And in the middle of sex, she was like vibrating and being weird, and he was like, and got the fuck out of there and stole a bunch of money and a bunch of like jewelry and stuff, and hit the road. A new waitress gets hired at Merlotte's. Place your bets on how long this one will survive, because apparently all these bitches are dying. Sookie gets a visit from her family attorney, and he says that Bartlett, the kid toucher guy from the last season, is dead, and he left her some money. And she doesn't want that money, so she gives it to Jason. And she also confronts Bill about it, and she's like, why would you kill him after I told you that? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he's like, I'm sorry, I love you, I did it for us, girl. And then she immediately forgives him, so.
Are you fucking dumb?
B plot for this episode, Jason is reading a bunch of religious literature and going to Fellowship of the Sun meetings, because if you remember, the guy brought him stuff last time when he was in jail, and he's grieving Amy's death, and he feels really sad, and he's just kind of looking for a place. He meets the Reverend Steve Newlin, who we've seen on TV. He's the son of the guy that got murked last season, the guy in the car crash, that Sookie was like, what the fuck, why'd you kill that guy? And his wife, Sarah. They meet Jason, and then Steve invites him to something called the Light of Day Institute, which he says is a leadership program.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, oh, okay.
We find out where Lafayette is, because if you remember, he was taken by something at the end of season 1 while he was taking the trash out. And I have good news and bad news, girls. Good news, he is alive. Bad news, he's in a dungeon. So That's not super positive. The door to the dungeon opens and it's Eric. Eric had Lafayette and redneck guy that burned down the house of the 3 weirdo vampires last season kidnapped, and he's going to make them pay for their crimes against vampires. He chooses this one first because Lafayette's kind of like back in the corner, and he gets up and he smacks Eric with silver, and Eric kills him very gruesomely. A plot for episode 2, Bill and Sookie are arguing about what to do with Jessica. Bill wants to go all authoritarian dad, and Sookie's like, well, maybe you should like give her some grace. She is fucking 17 and she just got turned against her will, so like maybe be nice to her. Which, valid. Sookie sees a news report about Jessica that features her family, and they're like begging for her safe return because they don't know what happened to her, which is another thing that he neglected to tell her about the situation. Sookie goes to work and she has a conversation with Tara about just like life stuff, and Tara mentions that she's feeling a little uncomfortable with Maryann's house, all the parties, all the drinking and all that, and Sookie invites Tara to move in with her. Bill goes shopping, so Sookie and Jessica spend some quality time together, and because Sookie is kind of dumb, Jessica is able to trick her into driving her home to her parents' house so she can get closure. She's like, I'll only look out the window of the car, I just want to see them. And Sookie's like, oh, okay. And then, of course, Jessica gets out and knocks on the door, and we meet Jessica's parents, and everything's like normal. They're like crying about having their daughter back, and then Jessica's dad is like, I'm gonna go get the belt, because Jessica said something, I don't know, something that 17-year-olds probably say. And Jessica starts getting real angry about that, and she's like, oh, get the belt, bitch, bet you won't, and kind of like shows her teeth to them and is like being aggro. And then Bill shows up and he's yelling at both of them, and he's like, get out of here right now. And so like Sookie leaves and she takes Jessica, and then Bill just, I guess, glamours them. Terry and Arlene are getting closer together. They're getting all cutesy, and we learn that Arlene is the only one that can calm him down from his little PTSD panic attacks. So that's cute. Maryann keeps showing up at Merlotte's, so Sam is yelling at her about it, and then she starts her vibrating shit, and it turns out that she can force Sam to shift. So he's got to be very careful about what he says to her, especially in public, because Sookie's the only one that knows about the whole shifter thing. B-plot. Right after Eric kills the redneck guy, who I forgot to put a little X on. Do you love me? Do you wanna be my friend? Anyway, we get one of my favorite scenes of this season because it's just so fucking absurd.
Is there blood in my hair?
What?
Is there blood in my hair?
I don't know. I can't see in this light.
How about now?
Yeah, there's a little bit of blood in there, yeah.
Oh, this is bad. Pam's gonna kill me.
He takes Lafayette to upstairs and questions him with Pam, and he's asking about a vampire named Godric and if Lafayette's heard anything, because Lafayette deals V, and Lafayette's like, no, haven't heard a thing, buddy. Not at all. And then they ask him about Eddie, if you remember, is the guy that Jason and Amy kidnapped and killed. And he goes, well, Jason Stackhouse must have done it because he's the only person that knew where I was getting the blood from. And Eric hears the word Stackhouse, and I was like, And he decides not to do anything about that because of, wanting to fuck Sookie. They throw Lafayette into the basement again, and he's like, no, sir, I've had enough of this. And he takes the titanium surgical implant that redneck guy had in his leg and breaks his chains and like runs upstairs, and he's like, I'm getting out of this bitch today, which that's not a super smart plan if you think about it, because they know what you smell like and they probably know where you live. So where the fuck were you gonna go? But okay. And Ginger's up there, my favorite little crackhead, and she's like, I can't let you leave. And he's like, bitch, get the fuck out of my way. And she shoots him in the leg. And they put him back in the basement. while Bill is out shopping, Eric shows up and he's like, hey, bestie, your girlfriend's coming to Dallas to work for me. And Bill's like, no, the fuck she's not. And he's like, you don't really have a choice, so she's coming to Dallas. And Bill's like, fuck! Jason is on his way to Bible camp to the Fellowship of the Sun thing with Steve and Sarah. And he's on the bus and he meets another dude that's going there. His name is Luke. And they hit it off because, you know, dudes just be best friends for no reason. And they get there and they're settling in, and then Luke starts getting on the Jason hate train because Jason is getting favoritism and shows him up in flag football, which is really kind of insecure if you ask me. But A plot for episode 3, Bill is doing that really annoying thing that men do when they get mad and they have to drive somewhere and just fucking driving like a maniac. Sookie's yelling, Jessica's crying, and finally Sookie's like, I've had enough of this shit. You are not going to sit here in my car that I pay for, drive like this, and keep me in the car. Like, you can fuck off to the fullest extent of the law. Like, fuck off. So she gets out of the car, girl boss move, and she's like, I'm walking. Boop, 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 boop. And Bill doesn't go after her because I just don't really think he likes her that much. And Jessica's trying to give him dating advice, and he's like, shut the fuck up. So she's walking and she hears some rustling and she thinks Bill's behind her, and he's not. It's like a bull man.
Today. Oh my god, what is that?
I don't know. Anyway, it starts chasing her and it scratches the fuck out of her, and it's bad. Like, it was really gory, and I was like, ugh. Like, it was sick, but it was really well done. Bill tries to give her some blood, and that doesn't work. So he takes her to Eric because Eric has a doctor. Her name is Dr. Ludwig. And if you didn't know, in the books, I think she's a troll. That's fine, but they never, like, address that here. Sookie wakes up healed, and she's kind of talking to Ginger because it's daytime outside. And Ginger's acting weird, which is normal for Ginger. So Sookie reads her mind. She's like, and she learns that Lafayette's in the basement, and she's like, oh, fuck no. Fuck no on that. I've been looking for my bestie for 2 weeks. And so she marches down there. She sees him. She's like, I'm getting you out of here, bestie. And when Eric gets there, she's like, bitch, give me my best friend back. And he's like, bold of you to assume that I give a fuck about any of that. And she's like, listen, I'll work for you. I'll do whatever you want. I'll go to Dallas, whatever. Let my best friend go. And so Eric lets her best friend go, and they take Lafayette home. Sam has decided to run away from Maryann, and he tries to give Terry control of the bar, and Terry's like, fuck you, no, you're a pussy, but in a really nice way. And so Sam really can't leave. And so he's skinny dipping in the lake with his little Sam booty, and Daphne shows up, and she's like, hey, hey, and they're getting all flirty in the water. This scene also shows us that Daphne has the same, like, scratch marks on her back that Sookie got. Well, Sookie doesn't have them anymore, but Daphne does. Jessica is left unsupervised for 5 fucking minutes, and she's like, well, I'm bored, and so she goes to Merlotte's, because that's kind of the only place that she knows about. And she meets Hoyt, who very awkwardly makes a move on her, because he thinks she's cute. Now, let me say something. A lot of people like these two together. And I see where you're coming from. I do. Their characters kind of work really well together, but my problem here has always been and will always be that she is 17. And he, in this season, I think is 28 or 29. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember, but that's about the age. That's a really messed up age gap to have, especially because Jessica is an original character. She does not appear in the book, so she didn't have to be 17. Like, she could have been 18, 19, 20. She could have been a college student that came around here to go to college and then got kidnapped. Like, so many other things could have been done with her, and you made her a 17-year-old. And it doesn't matter that she's been a vampire for a few weeks and that the power dynamic is different. She's still a child. She's only been alive for 17 years total. Vampire plus human time. 17 years total. She should not be fucking around with a 28-year-old man. Like, it just shouldn't be happening. It's inappropriate. Now, in like a couple of years, when she's an adult and she's been alive long enough to be considered adult, fine, but she's not. She's 17, and they made her 17, and that's weird to me. It's like when they, in Pretty Little Liars, when they made that character sleep with her English teacher, and she was 17 and he was whatever the fuck. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to do that. You could have made her an adult. Like, why are we romanticizing these inappropriate and gross relationships? And I'm not blaming either of these characters. I don't hate them. I don't think they're bad people. I think that the writers are weird for giving us a 17-year-old girl and making her the companion of a 28-year-old man. I don't care if he's immature. He's a grown man. His frontal lobe is fully developed and hers is not. She doesn't have life experience. She literally just got out of a abusive, strict home. Like, she doesn't know anything. She doesn't have street smarts, let alone any other type of awareness in the world. Like, why, God? Andy shows up at one of Maryann's parties and is getting weird vibes from the orgies that's happening. Tara's also continuing to get a weird vibe because she's known all of these people her entire life and never seen them act this way, and now they're just in this yard doing orgies and drugs and doing all this fucking weird shit, and she's getting a weird vibe. B-plot for the episode: Jason is at Bible camp and he is feeling guilty about being here because he really liked Eddie and he doesn't really have a problem with Bill, and like, why is he here? And his grandma raised him to love everyone and respect everyone, and he kind of opens up about it in group, and then Sarah pounces on that and she becomes our Amy of this season, and her job is to like dehumanize and kind of control Jason this season. He ends up having dinner at Steve and Sarah's house, and the entire interaction with him and Steve, all I could think was like,
Lucy, stop it! Denial is a river in Egypt. Your husband is gay.
A plot for episode 4. Daphne and Sam are getting flirty, and she says, I know what you are. So that's weird. Eric gives Lafayette his blood to heal his leg wound from Ginger shooting him, and also so he can keep track of him. Tara moves into Sookie's house, which pisses off Maryann, and she kind of just follows her there and throws her this big party and throws away the gift that Letty Mae left for Tara. The police are looking at Miss Jeanette's body, and along with her heart missing, she's got the same scratch marks on her back. So the same thing has now attacked 3 different people. B-plot for the episode: Luke is really ramping up his hate campaign for Jason, and to borrow a term from Mike's Mike, Jason's winning the I don't give a fuck war. Like, he doesn't give a shit about anything that Luke is saying. He's like, I'm the best. I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence. That's what Jason's on. He's continuing to get Steve and Sarah's attention, and eventually they promote him to Soldiers of the Sun, and they move him into their house. And Sarah says that it's because they ran out of beds in the other building. And Steve says it's because it's a joy to have Jason there. But, like, both of you bitches are just flirting with him at this point, and just ask him to be your unicorn. If that's what you want, he'd probably say yes. Like I said, chaotic bisexual energy. He'd probably say yes. Just stop being weird and just ask the man for a threesome. Damn. Bill, Sookie, and Jessica arrive in Dallas to go look for Godric because she agreed to, and they are immediately attacked by a member of the church, and yeah, so now they know that the church is involved and that they know that Sookie exists. Eric and Bill discuss the ramifications of Godric going missing and what it could mean for them to be able to take such a powerful vampire because Godric is 2,000 years old. Sookie meets Barry, who is a bellboy, I think, at the hotel that they're staying at. And she discovers that he's a telepath too. And she's so excited because she's never met another telepath and he wants absolutely nothing to do with anybody. He's like, shut the fuck up! A plot for episode 5. Daphne is revealed to be a shifter, and Sam is pretty excited about that because he's never met another shifter and he can be himself. Maryann continues to create chaos. She's also very adamant that she's the only one that cares about Tara, and she's trying to emulate Adele. She even is wearing one of Adele's aprons and mirroring a shot from the pilot about her. When you remember in the pilot when Adele was like waiting up for Sookie to get home from work and she was reading the book? Yeah, she mirrors that shot, which, fuck you.
How dare you stand where he stood?
Terry and Arlene hook up and continue to hook up throughout the season, so that's cute. Lafayette goes back to work but refuses to tell Sam where he was. Sookie confronts Barry the next day in the lobby, and she's like, oh my god, like, aren't you, like, so excited? And he's like, no, bitch, shut the fuck up. And then we learn that Sookie can speak telepathically to him. That's cool, I guess. Jessica calls Hoyt from the hotel, and they flirt some more. Congratulations. The search for Godric starts, and we meet Isabel and Stan, who work for Godric, because Godric is the sheriff. And Isabel is trying to be rational and calm and figure out where he went and why and how to get it back. And Stan's like, go in there, guns blazing, kill all of them. Please. Eric doesn't really give a fuck how it gets done, just that it gets done. Since they know that the church had something to do with it, Sookie suggests going undercover and seeing what she can learn about it. Bill says fuck no, but Eric's like, hell yeah, and he gets overridden. We finally learn why Eric gives a fuck so much, because obviously he doesn't give a fuck about anything, and it's because Godric is Eric's maker. So that makes him Pam's grandpa. Just so you know. I think that's funny. We see a flashback, and Eric was a Viking who was wounded in battle, and he was laying there getting ready to die, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do Viking stuff in the afterlife in Valhalla. And then this weirdo fucking emo guy shows up with greasy hair, and he's like, hey, want to be my best friend? Because he saw him fighting, and he's like, I want that. I want a piece of that. But not in a sexual way. Maybe in a sexual way. Maybe. Probably not, though. He's like, be my companion and my brother and my father and my mother and all of this. And Eric's like, hell yeah. I want it to be known that he was on the edge of death, and he probably didn't know what he was signing up for, so it's kind of rude of him to do that, but Eric's chilling, so we'll forgive you. Jason starts his extra special church boot camp, and he's really, really good at it. He already knows how to shoot guns. He's already athletic, so he's doing really, really well here, I guess. That night he's in the bathtub, because remember, he lives at Steve's and Sarah's house now, and Sarah comes into the bathroom and gives him a helping hand.
Let me reward you, Jason.
Bill and Sookie are having sex, and Lorena shows up.
Girl, shut the fuck up. You thought you ate that? Bitch, you...
A plot for episode 6. Terry's getting nervous because Arlene is just trying to fill him up all the time, and he's like, girl, Slow it down. Lafayette has a panic attack after Andy threatens to arrest him because Andy thinks that Lafayette killed Miss Jeanette and then disappeared for 2 weeks.
Leave you in a cell to rot until you confess. Or you can just tell me now. Because I already know what you were doing. You're hiding out, lying in wait. You killed that woman and cut her heart out. Now tell me I'm not right.
Leave him alone.
Terry shows up because he's a superhero and he tells Andy to get fucking lost, and then he comforts Lafayette.
Okay. Okay, buddy. Now, come here. Come here. Yeah. Come here. Close your eyes. Close them. Close them. That's good. Now, I want you to imagine a golden glowing ball radiating warmth and safety.
I love Terry so much. Oh my god, I love you! I love you! My baby. I would watch this whole show if it was only about Terry. Like, I love him that much. Pam shows up, the icon, the legend, and tells Lafayette he has to start selling V again, and she's going to be providing it. Lafayette's not thrilled about that. Hoyt and his mama get into an argument because she turned off his phone because he was talking to Jessica late into the night, and then they get to it, and he's like, my girlfriend's a vampire, and then he leaves to go to Dallas to go see his 17-year-old girlfriend at the hotel. Eggs and Tara have to go get a part for Suki's water heater because they're all living in the house right now, and the water heater broke, and they're driving down the road, and Eggs is like, I've been here before. Like, he gets a wicked case of deja vu, and so they pull over, and he's like walking down this path, and he's like, it's over here, it's over here. And she's like, what the fuck is over here? And it's like this weird circle of rocks and like a campfire, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, and there seems to be blood on the rocks, and that's probably not good. And they go back to Suki's house, and another orgy thing is happening, and they're like, what the fuck? And Daphne shows up with Sam, and they try to attack Sam. B-plot for the episode, Lorena and Eric have a little chat because he's the one that invited her to the hotel because he wants her to basically distract Bill so he can get Suki, which is underhanded and sneaky, and I don't like it. Flashback time. Everybody get excited for the flashback. Yup. It's 1926, and Bill and Lorena are doing whatever, and he's singing.
In old Savannah, I said, Savannah, the weather there is nice and warm.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And Lorena is schmoozing some of the guests and like setting up a foursome, basically. And she's using a bad French accent. It's really gross. And I'm like, eh. Anyway, so they kill the couple, and they're like sexing it up over the dead bodies. It's very weird. Don't love it. Then we have another flashback to 1935 where we see that Bill's gotten really tired of her shit, and they have a fight that basically boils down to...
Why do you do this? I like to do it. I enjoy it. Take your receipts, taste pure things. Kill them swiftly if you will. But do it! For do not doubt! You are a killer, Louis!
And he begs to be released, and she releases him, which in this universe basically means that she releases the power that she has over him as his maker. So, yay. Jason and Luke are told to build a platform to execute a vampire, which isn't looking good for our boy Godric. Oh no, guys. Isabel comes to offer help to Suki in the form of her human lover, Hugo. He's like, you guys can go to the church together and snoop around, you know. It's better to have 4 eyes on this thing. And then They're talking, and Hugo's really taking the Bella Swan approach to dating a vampire, and he's like constantly complaining about how Isabel won't turn him, and he's like, I want to be turned! I want to be turned! Like, he's just being a bitch. Like, shut the fuck up and let that woman love you. She's already out of your league. Fuck. The vibes at the church are immediately shit because Steve and Sarah are acting even more weird than they usually are, and it turns out that they knew that Sookie was coming and what she looked like, and they throw her and Hugo into the basement of the church. Bill can feel her freaking out, but he's stopped by Lorena, who's on top of him, and it's getting a little sexual assaulty in here, Lorena. Like, get the fuck off of this man. And he's trying to get out, but he can't. Because she's stronger than him. A plot for episode 7. Maryann is beating up Sam, but then Andy kind of stumbles in here mistakenly, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? And all the people have like demon black eyes or whatever, and he goes up to Terry and Arlene, who are there, and Terry breaks his arm and Sam runs away. So thanks Andy for the assist, we appreciate it. Maryann chases Sam, and she puts on this bull mask, so she's the bull woman that's been scratching up all the bitches. Sam goes back to the lake for some reason, and Daphne's there also for some reason. And he's like, what the fuck is Maryann? And she's like, she's God. And he's like, no, I don't think so. And she's like, well, she's a Maenad, and that's the closest thing to God. And he's like, a Maenad? What the fuck? Maryann uses a possessed eggs to kill Daphne. So, rip to you, girl. Oh, way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, way, oh. Tara and Eggs wake up from their blackout session. They're like, something scuffed is going on around here. This is not good. Arlene is freaking out because she thinks she sexually assaulted Terry because she knows they're hooking up. She just can't remember it. And she feels like she's taking advantage of him. B plot for the episode. Sarah confesses her love to Jason. Must have been one hell of a hand job. Hugo is freaking out in the basement because he's claustrophobic. And Sookie's like, please shut the fuck up for 5 seconds. You're annoying. Steve interrogates Sookie and hears her last name, which is Stackhouse, famously. And he's like, oh my fucking god. That means that she's Jason's sister. Which, 1 and 1 does equal 2, so good job, Steve. And he confronts Jason about it, and he's like, you traitor! You blah blah blah! Because he thinks that they're on the same side. And Jason's got no idea what's going on.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock!
And so Steve leaves one of his minions, Gabe, who I fucking forgot to put on the board. Every season, there's somebody I forget. Anyway, Gabe, he's like a security dude. One of the people training the army. He leaves him with Jason, and he's like, your fucking punk ass sister or whatever. And then Jason starts, activating his neurons and figures out that Sookie's somewhere. And he's like, I gotta go get her. And beats up Gabe and runs away. Isabel and Eric have a chat about Sookie and Hugo, where Isabel calls out Eric's growing interest in her, and Eric questions her about why she would even date a human in the first place, and she's like, oh, it's so cute how they age and everything's new to them and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what, Isabel? I like you. I hope nothing bad happens to you and nobody breaks your heart. Sookie telepathically calls out to Barry and asks him to get a message to Bill because he should be here by now. And Barry gives him the message, but Eric hears it because obviously he knows that Lorena is keeping him hostage, and so he runs out. And then Lorena snatches Barry up into the hotel room. Sookie figures out that Hugo was the mole the whole time, and that's how they knew that she was coming to the church, because his thoughts are really loud, and obviously he can't keep shit to himself. So Gabe, who I forgot to put on the board, tries to sexually assault Sookie. I'm really, really, really tired of that plot point being given to her, or anybody in the series for that matter. And then Godric appears out of thin air basically and snaps this dude's neck. And so we meet Godric.
Oh no, he's hot!
Hoyt and Jessica have a conversation about both being virgins, and then they have sex for the first time.
Why don't you make yourself at home here? Have a seat.
A plot for episode 8. Lafayette reads Tara's tarot cards, and it's not looking good for our girl. It's going to be big rips for her. Sam finds Daphne's body in the freezer at Merlotte's with her heart missing. Maryann feeds Daphne's heart to Tara and eggs. Sam gets arrested for the murder of Daphne because the police got an anonymous tip. I wonder who it was from. B plot for the episode. Eric arrives and sees Godric and he's like, oh my god, you're okay. And he's like on his knees, he's so happy. And Godric's like, why the fuck would you put these humans in danger? What the fuck is your problem? Get them out of here, leave, and don't hurt anyone on your way out. And Eric's like, damn, okay, well that's a little harsh. And he does. And Hugo's unconscious because I think somebody knocked him out. Good. So he's taking Sookie upstairs and they're outnumbered by members of the church. Jason's running around in the woods trying to get back to the church. Sarah shows up on the four-wheeler and she's like, you broke my heart! Me, 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 me! And shoots him with a paintball. And I'm just like, girl, you cheated on your husband. Ain't nobody give a fuck. And then Jason's like, stay away from my sister, bitch! And like runs off. She's like, I love you! And I was like, girl, shut up. Eric gives himself up to the members of the church in an effort to save Sookie, which could mean nothing. And it doesn't work, and they keep Sookie anyway, and they have him chained up in silver. Lorena tries to eat Barry and is stopped by Bill whacking her upside the head with a flat screen. He whacked her upside the head with a flat screen. That's so good. I love it. And Barry gets away and Bill gets to church. Stan shows up with a posse of people to kill Steve and all the other church members because he's like, fuck all of this. And then Godric's like, bitch! No one's getting hurt today. Everybody shut the fuck up. Stop. Right now. And then he kind of is like, is anybody willing to die for Steve Newland? And all the humans are like, no.
I have an idea.
Really? What is it?
Let's leave!
And all the vampires go home. And Jason is like, I fucked your wife. I fucked your wife. And leaves. Jessica and Hoyt discover that she's perpetually a virgin. And that's TMI. And don't ever tell me shit like that ever again. A welcome back party's thrown for Godric and he's moping in the corner. Eric's getting a bad vibe because that's not how his maker usually acts. Everybody's coming up to him. They're talking to him. Jason apologizes to Bill and to Godric for being such an asshole and being in the church. Lorena shows up to threaten Sookie, and Sookie's like, listen here, you low rent trash. No one's having your shit. Fuck off. He doesn't want your crusty, dusty coochie anymore. Oh, it's fine. I cracked myself up. I'm funny. Godric kicks Lorena out because she's being a bitch, and then Luke shows up and commits a terrorist act. A plot for episode 9. Lafayette and Eggs get into a fight because he sees bruises on Tara's face and immediately is like, you're abusing my best friend and my cousin.
You are fucking you bloody bastard bitch, fuck you.
He gets Letty Mae and they go to Sookie's house and they just kidnap Tara pretty much. They're like, fuck this shit. He's abusing her, not in my house today, bitch. Never again. Nope, nope, nope. Hoyt and Jessica are back in Bon Temps. And he wants to introduce Jessica to his mother, which is the dumbest thing that any character's ever done in their entire lives. And it goes about as well as you can possibly think it does. Because Maryann has all of her possessed people looking for Sam because he escaped his jail cell as a fly. He turned into a fly and flew away. B-plot. The bomb goes off. And Eric shields Sookie, which could mean nothing. It could mean nothing. And he tricks her into drinking his blood. And while he is my favorite, he did do something shady and underhanded and undermined her consent and abused her goodwill, and that's not cool. So, shame. Shame, shame, shame. But that being said, though, like, I have some thoughts on this kind of turn of events that I will talk about in season 3 when it becomes relevant, but just, like, keep that in mind, that she had his blood. Okay? Just put it up here. Lock it away. Back at the hotel, Sookie and Jason have a sweet sibling bonding moment where they talk about Jason's mental health in the wake of losing Adele and Amy and feeling like he's not good enough. And it's a sweet little moment. They see Sarah and Steve on the news trying to defend their suicide bomber, which is never a good look. Like, if you ever find yourself defending a suicide bomber, maybe reevaluate your stance, please. I forgot to put his little X up there. Oh my god! Now I told you once. Now I told you twice. We gon' light it up like it's dynamite. Nan Flanagan, who I fucking forgot to put on the board, fires Godric as sheriff. Eric's very upset about it, but whatever. And he says that Isabel should be the new sheriff, and she should. Okay? Put women in positions of power. And he leaves, and Eric kind of follows him, and then Sookie's sitting there, and she's like, I've got a bad feeling. So she goes to look for them, and her bad feeling is correct, because this motherfucker right here is gonna self-assassinate himself on the roof. And Eric is begging him not to. And then he's like, you need to leave, because you're not dying with me. And Eric's like, no, please. And then he forces him to leave, and then Sookie stays with him, and they have a nice chat about the circle of life and if there's a heaven and like humanity while they wait for the sun. And Godric, he dies. I'm gonna miss you. Sit, damn it. And that's the end of the B plot for this season. So everything else from now on is going to be Maryann centered while we wrap this up. Episode 10. They're all coming back from Dallas, and the town is a fucking wreck. There's cars everywhere, there's debris everywhere, people running around naked, doing weird shit. They get back to Bill's house, and Hoyt and Jessica are there with Hoyt's mom, who is possessed, and she's like screaming and raving and like playing the Wii and just saying weird shit. Maryann builds an effigy made of meat and sticks and cloth and stuff. Tara is tied up at Lafayette's house, possessed and out of control, and they're looking for a way to unpossess her. Sam goes to Andy for help because he's the only one that'll believe him, and Arlene lures Sam and Andy to Merlotte's with a fake distress call. She's like, my kids, we're here and they're trying to get us. And he knows it's a trap, but he goes anyway because he's like, what if it's not a trap though? That lands them stuck in the walk-in refrigerator at Merlotte's. Jason decides to go to Merlotte's and stage a rescue mission for them. And has to pretend to be the god that all the possessed people are looking for to get Sam out of it. And Sam has to tell Andy and Jason that he's a shapeshifter because he uses that to escape. Sookie arrives back at her house and sees it in a fucking state of distress. And she's very pissed about that because it was her grandma's house. And she's trying to fight Maryann and her fucking hands glow. It's about as stupid as it sounds. Bill tries to bite her and kill her, but then he gets sick because she's not human. And then they go to Lafayette because Lafayette says that he's got Tara, and that's who Sookie was looking for. And then they unpossess Tara by Bill hypnotizing her, and then Sookie like getting into her head and doing a bunch of stuff. Bill leaves to go visit the Queen because of some stuff that Tara said, and he's like, oh, I think I know what it is. And he goes to the Queen, and he's like, how do I kill a Maenad? So Bill was right, he does know what it is, and apparently the Queen is supposed to know how to do that. Maxine is still possessed and acting crazy. Jessica loses her temper and bites her. Episode 11, Jessica and Hoyt fight about Jessica biting his mom, because that's fucked. He packs his mom up and leaves and goes home and kind of like traps her in there until all of this is over. Jessica's crying, but like, girl, you did this, so The Queen tells Bill that the only way to stop Maryann is to make her believe she succeeded in summoning her god because Maenads are fucking crazy. And they're kind of like tulpas, if you've ever seen Supernatural. They kind of just exist because they believe that they exist. It's very strange. The Queen is also fucking crazy. She seems to know a lot about Sookie. Going so far to say when Bill tries to leave, well, she's not in any danger. You would know. Now, follow me down the logic trail here. We've never seen this bitch before. And we've never seen Bill interact with her before. So how does he have clearance to just get an audience with the Queen? That's number one. And number two, why does she know so much about Sookie? Because he seems pretty protective. Like, I don't think he would just tell the Queen about this random telepath he's fucking. And another weird thing is that she's got Sookie's missing cousin Hadley, who specifically asks Bill about Jason and Adele and Sookie and Bontemps, and he answers that they're all fine, which is a lie, but tells her not to reach out to her family and doesn't seem surprised to even see her in the first place because Sookie mentioned to him that she's been missing for like 2 years now, so like...
That's suspicious. That's weird.
The shifty bitch is up to something. Sam finds Arlene's kids looking for food because obviously their mother hasn't been home in a few days. And so he takes them to Eric and he's like, she's a Maenad and I don't know how to fight her and like these kids need help. And Eric's like, I don't really give a fuck. And he's like, Sookie would really appreciate it if you help us. And Eric's like, okay. And so he goes to see the Queen. And while he's coming in, Bill is leaving, and then he's like, what the fuck? And they're having a little skirmish about Sookie, because, you know, you gotta whip your dick out and measure it every time a girl is mentioned, because men are weird. And then Bill says that he knows that he and Pam are selling V, and making Lafayette do it because Lafayette mentioned it. Because Bill found out about it and then was really mad at Lafayette, and he was like, talk to Eric. And then he leaves, and then Eric goes in there to the Queen, and the Queen's pissed because she heard Bill say that, and she's like, how does he know that we're selling V? What do you mean we? Unpossessed Tara wants to go back to Sookie's house to save eggs, but they won't let her, and they have her handcuffed. And so Tara manipulates Letty Mae. She's like, I'll forgive you for everything, and you know that's so much, and this, if my one true love dies, blah, 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 blah. And so Letty gets the gun and aims it at Lafayette, which makes him have another panic attack.
Pity you. I don't hate you like your mama does. You can't help what you are. But I cannot let you keep me and Tara apart.
And that's why I'm gonna have to kill you. Oh, Jesus. I thought you wanted to be a vampire. You know how you feel with my blood inside you? How being a vampire isn't like that. Times a million. Goodbye, sweetheart.
And she leaves, and Sookie's like, you know, trying to not get Lafayette shot, and it's a whole thing. And Letty Mae's a bitch for that. Like, she was doing what she thought was right, but you're a bitch for that. And Tara, like, girl, be so fucked for real. She gets back to the house, and Maryann's like, I knew you'd come back. And Tara's like, why are you doing this? And she's like, well, because of you. And she's like, huh? And she's like, well, Miss Jeanette performed that ritual that you were in, and that's what drew me here. And then Tara gets repossessed. Lafayette and Sookie go to save Tara, are unsuccessful. He gets possessed, and she can't be possessed, apparently, so she's just kind of captive. Bill appears to talk to Sam, but we don't hear what they say. But, you know, probably to make a little scheme. If I had to guess, they're making a scheme. Episode 12, Maryann is in Adele's wedding dress because she's getting married. And she's talking to Sookie, and she wants to know what Sookie is, but we're not getting that answer right now, so suck it up. Bill shows up with Sam in tow and is like, I've brought you your sacrifice, give me my girlfriend. And Sookie's like screaming and crying. She's like, no, Sam, no. And they stab Sam. And then Sookie destroys the effigy and gets Maryann really, really fucking mad. And so Maryann's chasing her, and then this giant white bull appears. Maryann's like, oh my god, my husband. And she goes over to like pet this bull or like...
We're together at last. Come to me. My God, I'm the one to be sacrificed. I'm the vessel. Yes, I'm happy to die. I'm yours. Was there no God?
And it turns out that the scheme between Bill and Sam was that they would bring Sam, make her believe that she was right, Sam would get stabbed, Bill would give him his blood, he'd turn into a bull, and then they'd kill Maryann. And it worked, so congratulations, the boys had a good idea. Broken clocks are right twice a day, so... I think you were the most annoying antagonist in this entire series. Like, you were just so fucking annoying. Oh, and this is Carl. He's kind of like the butler guy. I forgot about him. He hasn't done much the entire season, but he does die. Because I think Lafayette shoots him. I don't remember. Get yoinked. And that marks the end of whatever the fuck the Maryann plotline was. It was good, but not as good as the Renee plotline, and not as good as the next season's plotline. And it was just weird, and I'd like to say that's as weird as it gets, but it's not. So a couple days later, and everybody in town is debating about what happened. Gas leaks, aliens, drugs in the water, whatever the fuck it was. Nobody's really sure. But the important thing is that everybody's alive and well. Everybody that matters, I guess. Eggs is kind of freaking out about all the blackouts that they had and like the weird snatches of memory that he has. So he asks Sookie to help him recover his memories, and then remembers that he killed Miss Jeanette and Daphne and somebody else, and he just feels really guilty about it. And so that night, while everybody's celebrating, he approaches Andy in the parking lot of Merlotte's, and he's got a knife, and he's like freaking out, and he's like, oh, I killed all these people, right? And Jason misinterprets that as like him coming at Andy with a knife, and so he shoots Eggs in the head and kills him. That fucking sucks for you, but I guess I don't. Andy, knowing what he and Jason did to save the town, covers it up for him and says that it was like Eggs was coming at him with a knife. Sam goes on a road trip to visit his adopted parents, the ones that he said in season 1 kind of abandoned him after he turned into a dog that one time. And he's like, I want to know my biological parents' names, and I want to know them now. And his adopted mom was like, they're bad people, you don't want that. And then his adopted dad is like, here's the names. And so he gets on the road. Billiam proposes at a French restaurant, and Sookie's like really overwhelmed because of everything they just went through, and she's like, can I have a moment to think? Which is totally valid, because being proposed to is very overwhelming, unless you're me. It was on my couch. Very cute, very cash, but like it's overwhelming because you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, especially when they haven't been together that long, so like that's weird. And she's like, can I just have a minute? Like it's like she's hyperventilating, and he's like, yeah. And she goes in there, and she's like, oh my god, I'm gonna say it. And she comes back out, and he's gone. And there you have it. That's season 2. A little quicker than season 1, I noticed, but we set up some interesting things, like how's Tara going to react to Eggs' death, and are Jason and Andy really going to cover this up? Is Lafayette going to be okay? Why is he selling V for Eric and Pam? Who's Sam's biological parents? Will these two fuckers ever get back together? I hope not. What's Lorena going to do now? Because she kind of stormed off and cried. What's next for the Newlands? Will we ever see Barry again? Those are the questions we're left with going into season 3. And I can't wait to tell you all about it next time.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.